Welcome back to the Every Choice YouTube channel. In today's class we'll be learning how to make this beautiful exaggerated puff sleeve. Okay, it's a puff sleeve that also has a pencil sleeve underneath. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to make this exaggerated sleeve, I'll be working with this fabric. Okay, it's a satin fabric and the texture is good, but I'm still going to strengthen it because it's a structured sleeve. So I'm going to be using, you can use collar stay or gum stay, but if you're working with like a damask fabric, you just need something like, because the fabric has structure on its own. But if you're working with a fabric that is very soft, you can just use a hard collar stay to give it structure. So now I'm going to be working with a measurement of 17 inches for my length. And if you want to work with your actual length, you can just measure where you're going to be placing this and then multiply that by 1.5 inches or 2 inches, depending on how big you want your sleeve to be. So now unfold, I'm going to measure 17 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be doing this for this tutorial. So after making this, when you see the outcome this is giving us, you can decide on the size that you want. So here now you can see that I'm putting this on fold. It's on fold, and then I'm measuring out 17 inches. So I'll measure this. This fabric is still big, so I'll cut it out so that we can see it better. So I have 17 inches here like this, folded into two. So I'll go ahead now and fold it into 4 again. Okay, so the first folding is into 17 inches. So now after folding it into 2, I'm folding it into 4 again, and I'm using the same 17 inches. Okay, so this 17 inches is not constant like I said, but for this tutorial this is what I'm using. So I'm going to cut out the 17 inches by 17 inches, then we'll continue so that it will be smaller for us to work with. Okay, so now I have it like this. So like I was saying, my fabric is folded into 2 first like this, and then after folding into 2, I'm going to fold it into 4. So now I have folded it into 4, and this is what I have. This is going to be the hem of my sleeve. This is going to be the pleated part, that part that is going to go on your dart area where you're going to pleat. So this part can actually be longer than this. So for the measurement, you need to measure the area that you're going to place this and then multiply it by 1.5 or 2 inches. So you use that to get what you have, so that you can pleat it back to the original size that you want. But like I said, for this tutorial I'm using 17 inches. So I have 17 inches here. I remember that is on fold, which means if you open it up, it's going to be 34 inches. And then also for the width of the sleeve, that's how voluminous it's going to be, I'm also using 17 inches on fold. So if you open that up also, it's going to give you 34 inches. So this is the hem, like I said. So the next thing I want to do now is to shape the upper part. Remember, this is the hem of the sleeve. This folded point, this part that is folded, is the hem. So this open part is the upper part of the sleeve. So now I want to shape it. So to shape it, I'm just going to measure from the upper part here on this closed point. I'm going to measure around 6 inches or 7 inches. Okay, I have 7 inches there, and using my free hand, you can also use a curve if you want. I'm going to slant it so that it can give me a ball shape. I don't want it to be sharp like this, so that it can give me that ball effect. I'm going to slant it from here like this. You can see how I'm slanting it, and then after slanting it, I'll go in with my scissors and then cut this out. Okay, so this is cut now. You can see the shape that I have for my sleeve now. It's no longer sharp, it's now cut, it's now round. So remember, this is the part that we're going to sew. So when you open it up, this is what you want to, this is what you're going to be having. This is the front and this is the back side of your sleeve. Okay, so this is going to be the front, this is going to be the back, or whichever one you choose to use. It's still the same measurement that we use. So now if you're going to be adding interface to this, at this point you will now take your interfacing and fuse to it. So I'm going to be using this gum stay now, and then I'll fuse it to this now and then bring it back to show us. Okay, so I've gone to add my stay to it now. So on this part, if you want to have your seam line up to the hem, remember this fold point is the hem, you can just latch it open, but I don't want to have seam line on my hemline. I just want it to be on the upper part. That's why I have it closed. When you open it, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is the back, this is the front, or vice versa, whichever one you want to choose for your back and front. And this here is going to be the hemline. Don't get confused. So this is the hemline and this is the upper part. So when you close it like this, this is where the hem is going to come out from, and this is the part you are going to be pleating. This is the part you're going to be pleating to the bodies, and this is going to be the head of the sleeve. So now if you're going to I added my full stay to this because this is going to be, because this is a soft stay. So if you're working with a very hard collar stay, please make sure that anywhere you're going to be having seams, don't let the stay get to that point, because it's going to be very difficult for you to sew and also for your machine to just take it. So if you're going to be adding a hard collar stay, you just add it and leave your seam allowance, or you can just add to one part of the butt of the sleeve, so that it's not going to be too strong for you to turn out or anything. So for this tutorial, I'm using a soft gum stay. That's why you see me adding everything in full like this. So now the next thing I'm going to do, now remember this is the part that I'm sewing to my bodies, and I don't want it to be like this, so I cannot leave it like this because that will be neatly finished. So on this wrong side, I have it right side facing right side. I'll go to my machine now and sew this place close, and also sew this place close. Okay, so after sewing it close, I'm going to sew a bit of this also so that I can turn it out neatly, but this is actually not necessary because it's not going to show. The most important part is where you're going to be placing your on your bodies. So I'm going to sew this now and sew this close and turn it out. So I'll do this and bring it back to show us. So I've gone ahead to sew it close on this part now, and I'm using this green thread so that we can see what I'm doing. So you can see that I've sewn it close. This is the hem opened, and I've sewn it on both sides for the front and back. So I went ahead to sew it, so by the time you open it, this is what it's going to look like. So I went ahead to sew it on this part also, then I left this small space to turn it out. So like I said, assuming you opened yours completely, okay, remember this is how the sleeve is, and then we just curved it here. Assuming you opened it up completely, you're going to be having two separate front and back, which you're going to be joining together later. But because I don't want my joining to be showing on this hem part, that was why I stopped it here. So I'm going to turn this out from this side now, and then I'll take it to my ironing table and then give it a good press before we continue this. So you can see how I have successfully turned this out neatly, and I no longer have a rough edge on this part. So this is the other side, and then that open part, I'm just going to hem it in. You can top stitch on it or use your hemming gum to gum the seam allowance together, so that it's going to be neat also. So this is what I have now, and when I close it, this is what it's going to look like. This is my hem, this is the part that I'm pleating to my bodies, and this is the head of the sleeve. So don't get confused. So this is what this is looking like. So I'll go and iron it now, and then we'll continue. So I've gone ahead to iron it, and then I used hemming glue to cover, to fuse this open part together. So this is what my sleeve is looking like now. So the next thing now is for me to sew this hack, this over top part of the sleeve. So I'm just going to sew it close up to where I stopped here. So I'm going to sew from here to this place, and then after sewing it, I'm going to pleat this to the actual size. So assuming you measured where you're going to be placing, so let's say you measured 10 inches and then you multiply by the 10 by 2 inches and you got 20 inches. So it means you use 20 inches to get this measurement. So what you're going to do is to, after using 20 inches to get your actual measurement, and where you're placing it is 10 inches, you just split what you have there, the excess that you have, back to your 10 inches. But first I'm going to sew this close, so I'll sew it and bring it back to show us how I'm going to pleat this. So I'm gonna head to sew the upper part close like this, and you can see that I stopped where, so assuming you slash just open it, means you're going to sew all the way to the hem. Okay, so now after sewing it, I'll turn it out like this, and this is what I have. So the next thing is for me to pleat this open part. I'm going to pleat it back to the actual measurement of where I'm going to place this. So I'll just take this to the machine now and pleat. Okay, so I'm gonna head to pleat it to the actual size of where I want this to be. So I'm going to turn this to the right side again, and this is what I have. You can see that my sleeve is a bit voluminous, and the main reason I did that curve on the edge part is because I don't want it too sharp. You can see that it's giving me that round effect on the upper part of the sleeve, as you can see. So now the sleeve is almost ready, but you notice there is a pencil sleeve underneath the sleeve. So you're going to be sewing the pencil sleeve to your armhole, and then you're going to sew this to your dart line. So I have my pencil sleeve. So this is my basic sleeve, and this is going to be sewn to the armhole. So now the last thing to do on this exaggerated sleeve, on the hem here, I'm going to also pleat it. Okay, so you just take it like this, and then you tack it and sew on both the front and back. You can have as many tacking as you want. So this is to control the size that we have on the hem. So I'm just going to take it like this now and tack, and also take it like this and tack. So after tacking it, my major sleeve will be underneath it. So I'll take it to the mannequin so that we'll see it better. Okay, so I've gone ahead to add my tiny pleats on this, and then just like I've placed it, you place it from your shoulder through your dart line or wherever we want to place this. So I just held it with a tape so that it can stay in place for me. So you're going to sew it or tack it on your bodies, and then this sleeve, this pencil sleeve that you have here, is going to be sewn to your armhole. So you can decide to place this anyhow you want. You can see that I placed my front like 1 inch shorter. You can place it on the same level, or you just make the short 1 inch shorter than the back, so that I can have this effect that you have on the back. And then I also pleated it on the front hem like this. I pleated it here and also here on the black hem line, just to reduce the volume that I have on my hem line. So this is what the full sleeve is looking like. And then if you added if you added like collar stay to it, it will give you the opportunity to just bend it anyhow you want. I just used a normal gum stay for this, so I can only do little, but the gum stay is still giving me something this, but it's a structured sleeve, so you need something to give you that structured effect so that you can style it anyhow you want to style this. So this is what 17 inches by 17 inches give me. If you want it bigger, you can increase the volume if that is what you want. I hope you enjoyed making this tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, kindly let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.